it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
Okay, hello there. My name is Gabriel.
My name is Bryce.
And welcome to the Desu Time Power Hour, the one-stop shop for anime, games, and whatever else we feel like talking about. This is episode 1 of our adventure, and on it, we are going to start by discussing each of our weeks and what we've been recently up to. Do you want to start, or should I?
I'll start, but I think before we do that, we need to talk about...
You're not going to let it die.
We're going to talk about the Papa John.
So I had an experience earlier today. Before we started this podcast, I, like a true star, said I will not start this podcast until I have a Papa John's pizza, because I had a discount coupon. So I looked up I went to the site, I tried to use the coupon on the site, and I kept questioning why it kept trying to send me to a Papa John's 15 minutes away when there was a Papa John's only 8 minutes away, according to Google Maps. So I looked it up on Google Maps, found the number of that Papa John's that was not showing up, and decided to call it while Bryce was with me.
That was a really awkward conversation you guys had, and it was honestly really sad.
It was really sad. I called the number, and on the other side of the number, the dude picked up, and he was like, "Hi there, this is such and such pizza shop." And I'm like, that doesn't sound like Papa John's to me. Do you mean Papa John's Pizza? And he's like, "No, Papa John's has been closed. We're a new place."
That poor man literally just wanted you to try his pizza place, and you shut him down in favor for fucking Papa John's. You want to know something? That pizza was probably a lot better than what you got.
I will counter that in a second, but let me tell you. So yeah, I had to sadly be like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that this wasn't the number to Papa John's. I'll have to check out this place later and order from it, but at the moment I have a coupon I'm trying to use, so sorry.
See if that would have been me, I would have hung up the second that I realized it wasn't actually Papa John's, because I would have been too fucking nervous.
I'm not one to just leave somebody hanging, but that was awkward. However, that is a pizza place 8 minutes away from me, so I will try it. Because, Bryce, let me tell you something. This is, the Papa John's is the last in a long line of pizza places I have tried here in California, because convinced.
You're in the land of bad pizza, is what you're in.
Yes, there is no good pizza in California. It just sucks. It's just fucking awful here.
Say what you want about the Midwest, but you got Wisconsin nearby. You've got really good cheese. So of course all the pizza around here is going to be actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, that I miss it. So I've tried to get pizza here on multiple occasions. Every single local place I have ever gotten in California sucks. They never put on enough sauce. They never put on enough cheese. The cheese doesn't taste right. It's a lame, shitty experience. So I was like, a Papa John coupon crossed my path about a week ago, and I was like, I'm going to use this Papa John coupon. But the issue is the Papa John's is about 15 minutes away in a drive, and that means the pizza would normally be cold. So, first off, let me say, the Papa John's pizza better than 90% of pizza I've had in the Bay Area.
That's kind of sad, actually. That's really sad. That Papa John's.
That's the level.
That Papa John's is like the apex of quality in the area. That's really sad, is what that is.
The fact that is the best pizza I have had is really not a good sign.
That's really fucking sad. But
trust me, it's really sad.
Let me ask this. Let me ask this. What did you get on your pizza?
It was only a one top. The coupon was for a one topping pizza, so I went old fashioned. I just got pepperoni.
When I went there,
but
fucking
jalapenos. My pizza doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, your pizza sucks. You got to get jalapenos and sausage on there. because their jalapenos they have are actually surprisingly good.
So here's where I say two things to you, Bryce. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
One,
Berate me.
I've never eaten at Papa John's before. I've never had Papa John's pizza in my whole life.
Are you serious?
Up until this moment. Yeah.
How?
Because I just never went, man. There's like Domino's and there's Pizza Hut and there was Papa John's, but Papa John, as we discussed earlier, is a huge racist. So I never went to Papa John's, and since he was fired, I figured I could probably finally eat Papa John's now, I guess, huh? So this is the first time I've had it.
I still like how that's a thing that happened, and I feel like people forgot about it really fast.
The fact that Papa John was ejected from his own company because he was too fucking racist for them.
That
very
is
good.
Marvelous. Good job, Papa John.
Truly marvelous. I don't know what he's doing these days. I think he's doing something. Probably being a prick elsewhere. But
he probably has enough money where it doesn't really matter anymore.
Yeah, at this point, right? He has enough. He got his, so he's done. But now here's the most important part of this whole journey. All right, I get to the Papa John's. I'm at a light turning to the Papa John's. I have to make a U-turn to go into the Papa John's. Mm-hmm. And there's a fucking pizza box with a pizza in it on the middle of the road.
Like a whole ass pizza?
Yeah, somebody ejected a pizza from their car or some shit at some point.
What? Okay.
And as the light turns green, this tiny little fucking like Mexican woman pops out of the corner of one of the crosswalk areas, and she runs for the pizza as the traffic is fucking coming.
Holy shit!
She ran into the street to get the box. And she
just like ran off with
stopped traffic for Papa John's pizza. Yeah.
I wonder.
She stopped traffic to get the Papa John's pizza.
Was that her pizza, or was she just like walking down the street and was just like, "Wow, someone left a pizza here for me." Joy.
Oh, pizza, just for me. Oh, pizza! It's on the middle of the street. It's been left for me. But Pizza Santa, he's left me a pizza treat.
Christmas.
Papa John himself has left me a. Imagine if the best part of your day is I found some street Papa John's.
I found street pizza and it was delicious. Oh.
Wait, so I go in, I get my pizza, and then I have to bring it home now. And it's a 15-minute drive, and I'm like, I don't want this pizza to be cold. Because there's nothing worse than cold pizza. I know some people like cold pizza.
I don't like cold pizza.
They're wrong. Whoever eats cold pizza, you're valid, and I respect your choice to eat cold pizza, but I cannot. Yeah, no, I cannot do that. That's not something I can allow to happen in my life. So, with the 15-minute drive, I had to think, how can I transport this pizza to my house still warm? And then I thought about it. I'm going to blast the heater, even though it's 70 degrees outside. Anyway, I was driving back for 15 minutes with my heat blasting. The inside of my car was about 89 degrees. And it was just straight heat blasting in the car for 15 minutes as I drove back to my house to eat the Papa John's pizza. But I opened it up, I ate the pizza, and Bryce, it was still warm. It was still warm. I preserved the pizza. I didn't even need to heat it up or anything. It was still warm. So I opened it up and I ate it and I watched some anime while I ate my pizza.
Now, what did you watch? Is the real question.
I mean, at this point, are we just having it so I go first? You're talking about the week because that'll be covered in my week. Honestly, that show that I've been watching recently.
Fair enough. Well, I guess I'll go ahead with mine then.
Yeah,
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, we'll
talk about my week a little bit.
I feel like I've been talking too much about fucking Papa John's pizza, so I feel like it's...
You're right. But the pizza, very important. Anywho, my week, been kind of a slow week, you know. It's been pretty cold out. Very cold, actually.
How cold is it there currently?
It's like, I think it was like 30 degrees outside. It was a lot colder earlier this week. It was like Jesus. 10 degrees out. I was dying.
I forget how cold it is over there. I feel
and
bad for
at
you.
my work, we have shipping stuff out back. So they have the dock door open. And it's a big door. So it gets really cold in the entire warehouse. like frigid cold, and I have to wear uniforms, so I can't really wear like a jacket over it. They ordered me a jacket, and it's been like a month, and it still hasn't showed up yet. So I basically just have to freeze, and it's
That's
not very epic.
You just forced to freeze. Can you not just bring like a big oversized sweater in with you?
I mean, it's supposed like we're supposed to wear uniforms, so it has to like have our company logo on it. Otherwise, they're just like, you can't do that. HR, they ain't gonna be too pleased with that.
Yeah, that indeed does suck. So I guess you just get to die of hypothermia in the meantime, then, bud.
Yeah.
You just gotta brave the cold.
As far as stuff I've been doing, you got me into Adventure Zone, which I still really like.
Oh yes, Adventure Zone with our very good. Also, I wonder if I caught that big gulp for there. Speaking of them, you don't know about the underground references of Big Gulp and other McElroy brother programs, but yes, I'm glad I got you into Adventure Zone and that you like them. They're very good, boys.
Yeah, we were when I was at D&D this morning. I actually was talking about Adventure Zone with them because remember how I said the campaign I originally played, that was like one of the first D&D campaigns I ever played. That pre-made campaign, like I think that's part of like the Dungeon Master manual or some shit like that. That was the first D&D campaign I played. So when I first started hearing Adventure Zone, and I started hearing all these names, these characters, and these organizations, it like kind of flashed me back a bit. And I think that's kind of how I got into it so much at first, even though you said like as it goes on, it gets a little bit better. A lot better.
Oh, it gets significantly better. The first arc is probably the weakest, though the second half of it is fantastic. It's just the first half of it is, they started it off as a thing that's just a meme.
It's just kind of them not knowing how the game works, really.
That never gets better. Bless those special McElroy boys, and I can't even say their name right apparently, but bless them. But they never learn how to play D&D.
That's great. I love that.
It's very good. It's much like our D&D experiences where we have to sit there sometimes.
We literally had no idea what we were doing until we were like halfway through the campaign after like a year.
Yeah. And then so like finally figure that podcast is basically the reason I even started writing D&D stuff for you guys in the first place as well, because I was like, this is cool. I want to tell my own story like this. But
I won't lie, it was pretty inspiring listening to it myself, to be honest.
Exactly. It'll help drive those creative ideas forward.
Get those creative juices a flowing, as they say, you know?
Yes. Recently, I should say, to fill in the audience here, the one that's non-existent currently, but one day might be. We just recently finished a 2-year-long campaign, as of a few weeks back, and we're about to embark on another one in Bryce's under his creation. Truly. Yes, written by the one and only Squid Hat Man.
Squid Hat Man, and I gotta say, I can't express how excited I am for it.
I am also very excited.
You are in for a treat.
We're sadly not televising that one, but if we do one after, we might, because at that point we've all had enough experience where we could probably do a D&D podcast and make it interesting. We could probably meme around. We just got to take out a lot of the references that are just for us.
Yeah, I feel like that was
maybe and take out some of the branding for Denny's in there, because our last one had a lot of Denny's branding for something completely unrelated to Denny's. Speaking of, hey Denny's, if you ever for some reason get a heads up of this podcast, I would love you as a sponsor. I want nothing more than to be sponsored by Denny's. Nothing more in this world.
Send us some free Slamburger coupons. We'll do one of the podcasts from one of the booths in the back one of these days.
All we need for payment is some Slamburger coupons. 1 or 2 Slamburgers, that's enough for us.
Hey man, a California Slamburger, that shit's almost like $15, man. A couple of those, right. I'll take it.
But other than Adventure Zone, what else have you been digging into recently?
Devil May Cry, obviously, because you also got me into that.
I get you into a
And-
lot of things.
You do. But as far as anime goes, I've been watching the show. Well, it just got a season 2, and I didn't even know about it. I literally logged into my Crunchyroll today, and this show's called Bokoben. It's like a slice of life show about it's like a tutor. I've sent you memes of it before, but
I'm sure you send me anime memes every day I wake up, Bryce.
it's it's the one tan girl with like the weird like dark pink hair.
I see.
That's from Bokoben. But anywho, that show got a season 2, and it was 7 episodes into season 2, and I didn't even know it was airing.
Oof. That's a big
And
oof.
when I saw that, I kind of did a little shit in my pants because I was really excited because I love that show.
Wow,
So
that's good.
I haven't watched any of season 2 yet, but I definitely am gonna pick that up here soon. That and One Piece. Definitely gonna try to chip away at
There's
that
another
for
one
the
I
rest
started
of my
you on the
life.
path of and that one we can both talk about. A while back I was inspired by a video of Super Eye Patch Wolf's about why to watch One Piece. And so I did it, and I embarked on the journey. I'm about 60 episodes in myself. But recently I've been like, hey Bryce, this show's actually pretty good. You should give it a try. It's pretty fucking good actually, bud.
I mean, right now it's nothing like I'm in the beginning part, so it's like nothing special right now.
Yeah, you've only
But
done a
it's
few
definitely-
episodes.
It's nice to have something that long to just kind of chip away at.
It's very
like,
nice when you start to get really into it and you start seeing like the really long fights and stuff and the build-ups they do and how they
You can,
resolve
like-
them. It's fantastic.
I like long shows like that because you can kind of pick them up and put them down at like any point.
Yes,
And
especially
it'll
after
always
you
be
finish
there.
an arc and stuff. You can do that. You can also you could jump in
Set
it way later on, but there's no real point. Like I've seen some clips and stuff of shit that happens later, and I'm like, what the fuck? As far as I can tell, characters in that show also age in like pretty decent time. At some point, there's a time skip, which I don't even know why I needed a time skip. The show has been in production for 20 years. They probably just could have shown Naruto
Just
boy,
progress in real time.
progress in real
Kind of.
time at this point. But yeah, other than that, do you have your eyes on any upcoming series or games or whatever?
Obviously Babylonia.
I have no idea what Babylonia is.
That's the new Fate show.
Oh,
Demonic Front.
I see. Yeah, we should mention
I know-
Bryce is a
I
very
know-
big fan of Fate.
Listen, you make fun of me all you want. It's good. As awful as it makes me feel all the time, it's good.
I can't make
Alright.
fun of you for Fate because I watch One Piece, and One Piece arguably is just as long and has just actually more games.
it's longer. It's longer.
Yeah, it's still longer and it has
Way
a lot
longer.
of movies and games and shit. Which
I don't. How many One Piece games are there? I remember seeing
There's a
one
lot.
on Steam one time.
there's a lot. Most of them, there's a few Muso games, which are like the big ones made by the Dynasty Warriors people. There's, I believe, at least one or so fighting games, and then there was World Seeker, which came out recently, which was the last straw for me because I was like, this game looks good. I want to play it, but it looks like it's so far fucking drenched in One Piece lore. I need to watch the show, so I decided
Like,
to do that.
Like it would be hard to know what point that you'd be able to play that point in the game in the show's like timeline without like spoiling it for yourself.
Pretty much.
I feel
like
it's
you-
almost like you need to catch up in order to play those games.
Kind of.
Or like-
I don't know if Fate's in any such a similar situation. I mean, I don't know if they're technically canon. If World Seeker is technically canon in the first place, but yeah, anything like it's gonna spoil character growth and stuff like that. Because when you first start the show, even now I see like later bits of the show and it's like I have no idea who most of this fucking cast is. All I know is like the original 6 or so. I don't. Is it 6?
Fate and One Piece have the same issue where it's really hard to know the
Oh, I mean,
what the...
that's not just them. That's like anything from that. Like Dragon Ball, I tried to get into for a bit too, and I immediately dropped off of Dragon Ball because
the timeline jumps around so much that it's really hard to keep track of everything at any given time.
Have you watched like Dragon Ball, like OG Dragon Ball?
Yeah, like a really long time ago.
OG Dragon Ball is pretty good, but
I feel like it's just a lot of the same shit though.
Yeah, most of the fights are very similar. Excuse me.
It's just like bad guy shows up.
It's literally
does some damage. Yeah.
One Piece. The reason I'm so into One Piece is because the fights generally aren't power levels. They're a matter of one, Luffy being awake, because oftentimes he'll just fuck off and go to sleep, which that's a mood. That's a whole ass mood right there on its own. And then other than that, that's not even a guarantee he'll win, because sometimes he just gets really fucked up. But either way, the fights are almost similar to how JoJo fights are, in that there's, especially later on, a lot of them like trying to outthink and outmaneuver each other on shit.
Just kind of pull some move out of their ass and do something really that you would have never thought of.
Okay. No one does that as bad as Starfinger, okay? That's
Starfinger!
Nothing can ever be as bad as Starfinger, where that just came out of fucking nowhere and is never used again. Or like
Star Platinum just gains new abilities whenever he needs them.
Or like that one time Jotaro says stands you need to breathe in order to access your stand. Except he stayed underwater for like 8 minutes, number one. And two, as the series went on, I'm almost certain there's been more fights where people just couldn't breathe for minutes on end in that show.
You know how time is in JoJo though. Like,
it does not exist.
Time does not exist. You like the entire episode could take place over like 3 minutes for all we know. Like Dio goes into frozen time and it seems like he's in that shit for half the episode, but then he's just like, ho, 8 seconds have passed. And it's just like, wait, what? Half the episode's over. You just had a whole monologue. You're trying to tell me that was more than 8 seconds?
It's very...
Or less than 8 seconds?
It's very good is the thing. Okay. So...
Those are some Iraqi forgotten moments is what they are.
Much like the time-traveling Josuke. Okay, so that's your week then, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Okay. I'll go into mine then. So recently, a whole onslaught of games have come out of nowhere. There's been Outer Worlds, there's been Death Stranding, there's the new Star Wars game. I'm almost certain there's more. There's the new Pokemon. There's a whole lot of shit that's come out.
I completely forgot about that Star Wars game, by the way.
I forgot about it right up until it launched. I literally, I thought it was coming in like another year, to be 100% honest.
I can't really speak for it, because, I haven't played it. Although I might by the next time we record. But because I have Origin Premiere, so I'm pretty sure I can play it for free.
Yeah, you can.
But I don't know. It just kind of looks like a poor man's Force Unleashed to me. It looks like a slower paced Force Unleashed. That's
what it looked like to me. And no, I mean, okay, yeah, we might as well just dig into it. The gameplay of it, I've not seen a ton of it, but from I've seen, it seems to be like it's trying to use a gameplay style similar to Dark Souls. As the resident Dark Souls person who tried to get you into Dark Souls, and who played like 600 hours of that fucking game, I'm so tired of Dark Souls gameplay systems where everything is trying to be Dark Souls. It just...
Everything like is trying to be like a lot more slow and
I get it. Yeah, I get it, but like I really feel like it should have played more similar to Force Unleashed or any sort of character action type game.
Force Unleashed was a blast.
Yeah.
Force Unleashed was fun from beginning to end every game. For both games.
Jedi control scheme that they've sort of had in like Jedi Academy and all that has always been more hack and slash sort of character action-y than slow and deliberate. And I am more for the hack and slash bit than I am the slow and deliberate. Now, it's Respawn, and Titanfall 2 is a fantastic story, so I do trust them to write a good story, but I also remember I'm pretty certain that this was the game that was the space bounty hunter game, which just brings up my point, and this is an ongoing point for me.
Are you talking about that the Uncharted looking one?
Yes, that was this game.
Oh,
that was what this game was. Originally, the main character was Boba Fett, I believe. Anyway,
what was that game called again?
2033 or something.
It was, I don't remember. I just remember it takes place in the under parts of like Coruscant or whatever. Like,
yeah, you play as a smuggler.
Happens.
Well, actually, I don't know. I don't know if you play as Boba Fett. I remember you play as a smuggler. So you were somebody with force.
It was a smuggler.
Okay.
It basically looked like Star Wars Uncharted, which looked fucking awesome.
It looked amazing, and I'm more excited for that. I love that shit. And like the fact that game was canceled for just being another Jedi, it was kind of like, oh, that's a little bit disappointing. I would have rather have just been a dude with a gun, truthfully, because at least they could not make a Dark Souls gameplay. Also, yeah, they could finally show something that's not been shown in Star Wars, because they always show off the Jedi and they never show off like the smuggling bit of the smuggler stuff.
They don't show like the crime and the less glorious parts of the universe.
I'm not exactly a huge fan of Dark Souls, but like I would wait, did I say Dark Souls or Star Wars? I don't fucking know.
You said Dark Souls.
I'm not a huge fan of Star Wars as much as some people. I think it's okay, but yeah, the fact that there's not been like the only smuggler movie is like Solo, and like people are split on that movie. Personally, I enjoyed it because it was a fun.
I thought it was okay.
It was a fun little movie about a smuggler, and to me, that was fun. And there's just not been, and they're also never gonna do that again because Solo sold fucking horribly, which might also be why the Jedi game got switched from being about a smuggler to being about a Jedi, because they were like, nobody wants smugglers.
Wasn't that smuggler game supposed to come out like years ago though?
It was in production.
That was like 2013 or something.
It was in production for a while when it first came to light, and I believe the production on it restarted. I don't remember if it was always with Respawn or Respawn just got the IP. I want to say they got the IP. It was originally the Dead Space people, I believe. Visceral was supposed to be working on it originally, and they collapsed, if you remember.
Yeah, a bit. I actually have Dead Space in my library. I'm trying to make time to play that too.
Have you never played Dead Space?
I have never played Dead Space.
Oh, you'll enjoy it. Dead Space is a fantastic little horror game. I like that game a lot. The fall of Visceral is incredibly sad to me because they were one of the best devs of sort of the modern era. But
from what I've heard it's a lot like Mass Effect, where like 1 and 2 were really good, and then 3 was like not that good.
Yes. The wide consensus on
straight away from being
it's a lot worse than Mass Effect, because Mass Effect is at least at some point like you can just be like 3 wasn't the worst or whatever. The gameplay of Dead Space 3 was so far changed and the story was awful. Like every aspect of that game is horrible because they
just like stop becoming a horror game.
It's no longer a horror game. It has a focus on co-op gameplay, which also terrible. The fact that it's co-op required.
Wait, it was required?
No, not actually. Well, no, it's not technically required. You can play it solo. It's just enhanced by playing co-op, like dramatically.
Oh, that's lame.
And imagine like the actual canon story of that game is playing it in co-op. So
that's not good.
Yeah, it's not the best. And overall, like that game just was terrible because it tried to make Dead Space a profitable sort of game when, in honesty, it was a very niche audience to begin with.
Yeah, and then it just died after that.
Sadly.
No more Dead Space.
So yeah, they were working on it originally, and I think when it collapsed, it changed over to Respawn, and Respawn might have just took what they had and made it a smuggler game, and then have been told at some point to switch it, or might have switched it then. Who knows? But we have what we have now, and yeah, I actually am interested in picking it up. I just haven't yet, because all of my free time has been sucked into a little game called Outer Worlds.
I still haven't played it yet.
Outer Worlds is so good. It's fantastic. It is just an old Obsidian RPG. It plays a lot like New Vegas, and people compare it to New Vegas, but it's sort of like a hybrid between New Vegas and like KOTOR.
So, like, what's the story like? Like, what's like the premise?
I think you would very much like it. You're a part. You are a person that is on a colony ship that has been sort of lost in space, and you're just frozen there until you're freed. And then you get freed, and then you get sent down to a planet, and then like a whole bunch of events start. So you're just going around, solving all these things, doing all this stuff, exploring around, and honestly, I would say, Bryce, you'd probably like it because it is more similar to, like, imagine if Fallout New Vegas was crossed with Mass Effect. One of the first things you get in this game is a ship, and then you get this like small team of companions, and the companions will interact with each other on the ship, and they'll have their own little side missions and stuff like that. So it's very similar to something like Mass Effect, where you have this ship and you're going planet to planet, and you're just sort of solving stuff. You basically just go planet to planet, and you do quests and you solve stuff, and you get to explore around and all that stuff. So it's this big open world RPG, except there's like multiple different maps, and those maps are each their own different planet.
Are they like pretty big, I'm guessing?
They range from pretty large to some smaller ones, depending if they're like asteroids and stuff, but all of the places are pretty decently sized.
That's good. I mean,
definitely feels like a full game.
Sure. I'll get to it.
It's absolutely fantastic. Every moment of the game I have enjoyed. The writing of it is simply fantastic. It's heavily critical of like capitalism and shit. There's constantly jokes about capitalism and just corporations being shitty. So there's a lot of stuff like that, which I know you'll probably at least enjoy as much as I have. My favorite thing is that
I'll absolutely enjoy it.
My favorite thing is that the game opens up with one of the main characters. He's being sort of pursued by police, like corporate police, and he's just like go to hell, bootlickers, as he flies away. And I was like, okay, all right, this game is for me.
Perfect.
But so that's kind of the thing I've been playing in the meantime, and I have been enjoying that just a hell of a lot. I also pretty recently picked up Prey Moon Crash.
I have no idea what that is.
Have you played the new Prey?
Yes.
Yeah, so the new Prey was basically System Shock 3. Fantastic. I really enjoyed that new...
Aren't they making a new System Shock?
System Shock 3 has been in development for like 6 years? 4? I don't remember. It's been a while. I believe it's still in development. It's just kind of had a struggle of like it's being developed, and then sometimes development will stop and stuff like that.
It's in development how?
Yeah, kind of at the moment.
I see.
Well, because they're doing that one, and then they also are doing a remake of System Shock, the original. So that's what's kind of holding it back at the moment.
They're choosing the remaster of their older game over their newer one.
I believe it's outsourced to another company. I don't know the exact specifics of it. But I know that System Shock 3 is having some trouble. But regardless, Prey, that game was fantastic. It released a DLC about a year after it came out called Prey Moon Crash. And the idea of Prey Moon Crash is you are a person that is being employed to dive into into basically data from a moon base, and you have to go into like a simulated version of the moon base and sort of live the stories. And the goal is, I believe there's like 6 player characters. No, yeah, it's like 5 or 6, but there's 5 or 6 player characters. Each is like a different class, and each has different abilities and stuff. And the entire point of it is you're just supposed to escape, and you need to escape with all of them sequentially. But every time you escape, it gets harder for the next go around, basically. So it's this very, very arcadey sort of game that you're playing within the Prey systems. Like you're just trying to get everybody out.
Is it like probably not that long then?
It's not It's probably as long as you make it. Honestly, I can't imagine it being too long. Probably about 10, 12 hours, but I would say it was a good reason for me to go back to it. What I
How
have
much
heard
was
from
it?
other people is that I played like 3 or so hours. The gameplay wise, it is fantastic. It's a really, really fun loop to have it get hard like that because I actually really liked the gameplay of Prey. But it's less heavily focused on the story aspect, though there is a bit.
So it's more focused on like the evasion and the combat than it is the story itself.
Yeah. The story itself is less there, though there is still like notes and stuff you can find to explore the environment and read more and sort of learn about what happened and all that.
So how does it tie into the main story then, or does it not at all?
It doesn't. I don't know because I haven't completely finished it yet, but it seems like it's from what I can gather, it seems to take place before Prey.
So it's like kind of like a loose prequel almost.
Yeah. So did you actually play and finish Prey?
I don't think I finished it.
Did you ever encounter the dude who was locked in like a jettisoned sort of container in space?
Yes.
Okay, that dude is one of the characters that escapes in this.
Oh.
Yeah, and his way to escape. They all have like a canonical way they escape is by jettisoning himself in that cargo container.
Huh. That's actually kind of neat.
And so it's like little small stuff like that. I believe he's the only character that's like really connected to Prey, but this at least his escape is shown in this. So yeah, I thought it was pretty neat from what I played. I still need to play more of it, but I started playing that before Outer Worlds, and then my time was just lost to Outer Worlds. But other than games, talking about the anime, I finished 2, I guess 3. Let's just do the easy one. I finally finished Love is War a while back. Bryce had been pushing me to finish
That took
Love is
you.
War.
That took you so long to finish. I can't stress enough.
I had stopped watching anime for a while just because I got really, really busy, and then I finally got back and I caught up with some shows. So I finished Love is War. Absolutely fantastic. I really, 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 really enjoyed it. The last episode had me in tears with how emotional it is. It's very good. Very good.
It went from being really stupid to really emotional
It was
really
very,
fast.
very sweet. It was very sweet. The whole last thing with the fireworks and all that, very sweet. That was
Don't you notice how like those slice of life shows always like they're always really stupid for like the entire show, and then the last episode it just gets like really sad and really emotional.
Yes.
For like the closure. I love that.
Speaking of that, since we're talking about slice of life, Love is War, fantastic. It's really good. It's a good comedy show. It's just about two people who love each other, but they don't want to express it, so they spend the entire show trying to make each other admit that they're in love with the other, and that's the whole show there. It's a very good slice of life. It's a little comedy show. It's nice. If you haven't seen it, I definitely would recommend watching it. Very, very good.
Just don't take like a year to watch it. Like
don't take a year. I started towards the end. It's because we watched it a bunch together at first, and then towards the second half
we watched like half of the show together.
Yeah, and then I didn't watch it until like not like a month ago or whatever.
Until I bugged you about it till no end.
I literally watched it while I was eating lunch at work, and it always very much cheered me up. So, but besides that slice of life, another slice of life, and I'm not sure if you've watched the first season of this, but I finally got around to watching Mob Psycho season 2.
I have not watched Mob Psycho.
All right. Okay.
Give me a hot summary for this one.
Okay, Mob Psycho is if JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 4 and My Hero Academia mixed together.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I like this.
For the first half of it, it is a slice of life. In the second half, it trails off into whatever. So basically, it's the show. It's a show made by the same creator as the guy who did One Piece. I mean, not One Piece. Sorry, One Punch Man.
Okay.
Same team. Same creator. It's a show about a psychic named Mob, and he has a master trainer type guy who is the person who taught him how to use psychic powers, except he's not a psychic. His master is a fraud, and he's just a dude that has been lying to Mob basically his whole life. And he's just basically a scumbag, shady dealers type person. He's like a loan shark type person. He just does all these fucking scams.
So is Mob not a psychic then?
No, Mob is a psychic. Mob is a psychic. His master is not. His master is lying to him and talking about like. Mob will be like, why didn't you use your psychic powers to do this and this? And he'll just be like, because it was too weak for my psychic powers to do anything to it. And shit like that. But that's basically the rundown of the basic idea of that show. It's that. And the first season, fantastic. It's just slice of life stuff like that. They go around, they exorcise ghosts and stuff like that. Basically, they go from place to place doing jobs, exorcising ghosts and whatever other stuff like that. And it's just Mob sort of fighting these ghosts. And the main trip up of this show is that Mob and the whole show really is incredibly wholesome. Mob's character refuses to ever harm somebody else or use his powers for his own gain. He's just this very nice, quiet dude. And he just constantly tries to help people. And so because of that, the entire thing is sort of, he's kind of emotionally unstable. And the reason it's called Mob 100 is because every once in a while in the show, after like a dramatic moment or an emotional moment, a counter will count up on the screen that will count up like a percentage. And it's just counting up slowly over the season to 100% before he goes Super Saiyan at 100% and starts fucking annihilating ghosts and shit. But
that's great.
Yeah, he's just this very unassuming kid who is like the strongest psychic ever. He's so strong, but he never uses any of his powers for anything. It's very good. And then season 2 I just watched, and it's more of that. And it starts to look into some more of the characters and like their relationship, like Mob and his master and stuff like that. And I personally loved season 2 a lot more. Season 2 is fantastic because season 2 is the season that drops the slice of life stuff and goes straight on to like My Hero Academia JoJo shit, where Mob starts fighting other psychic users.
Oh my god. That sounds really good.
It's really good. If you haven't watched Mob Psycho, watch it. Here's probably the biggest hook is there's a club called the Body Improvement Club in Mob Psycho. And they
you were telling me about
these
that.
are the dudes that are like they look like the JoJo Pillarmen. They look like JoJo characters. And their whole thing is they're like big ass buff dudes. And like they just constantly push Mob to get stronger. They're constantly like, you can do your best, Mob, and whenever he's seen like whenever he's jogging with them, he's like miles behind of these dudes. But they'll just be like, keep going, Mob, you're doing great. It's really nice.
That's amazing.
It's very nice. It's very sweet.
We're talking about shows. The show that I'm gonna keep bugging you about until you watch it is, right?
What?
Steins Gate.
I need to. And I know this is going to be heresy because we're making an anime podcast right now for people that I just said anime podcast for people in the fandom, and I haven't watched Steins Gate. But the reason behind that is I've tried
Steins Gate is so good.
I have started that show 3 times and I've never watched past the first episode. I don't know why. It always intrigues me. I've just never watched past the first episode, and I think it's just because something else comes up.
Steins Gate's a wild ride. Let me tell you.
I need to watch it. I will like it because it has it gives me some very Serial Experiments Lane vibes, and I absolutely adore Serial Experiments Lane. So
the first season of it is a lot more playful, and the second season just kind of gets really sad and really dark. Like really dark. Really dark.
Yeah. That's always something that happens with anime seasons sometimes. Not strictly an anime,
game,
but I was gonna say the thing that I probably watched recently, and I'm not sure if you watched. Have you watched any of BoJack Horseman?
A little bit.
That show's fantastic.
People are always going on about it on Twitter.
I would
100%
100% keep watching it. The most recent season of it is fantastic. It's such a good character arc finally. But like there are moments in that show that are just like fucking depressing. There was a moment in season 4, I think, where it gets the worst, and it gets to the point where BoJack almost like sleeps with an underage girl at a point. Like that's how low that show gets with his character.
Oh wow.
Like he falls to immeasurable levels in that show.
Wow, that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it literally, what it seems to be so far is the show up till now has been about how fucked up and how low he falls as a person, and the last season is him finally actually making things better and finally being a decent person. So the last season of BoJack, the first half of it that came out, I watched that, and that was fantastic. It's all just redemption arc stuff and finally closing off plot lines and stuff and just being like, things are better now. But it still has half of a season to go through, and that should be dropping in January. But I would recommend catching up on that. Well,
what's that on, like Netflix or something?
Yeah, that's on Netflix. I'd recommend catching up on that before season 2 or the second half of season 6 drops.
All right. Well, I think it is time.
Hang on, I have one more. I have one more. This is very important that I mention because this is the show I was watching while I was eating Papa John's pizza. I've been watching a show that I saw a while back on Netflix, and this motherfucker looked like it was made directly for me. If you know anything about me, you know I adore Cowboy Bebop to the end of this fucking earth. I adore Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo so goddamn much. So imagine my surprise when a show that was Cowboy Bebop mixed with Gurren Lagann showed up on my Netflix feed. There is a show that I saw a trailer of so long ago and never followed up with called Cannon Busters.
I feel like one of my coworkers was talking about that show. That sounds really familiar.
Good. Yes, it is a show in which so it's basically the most Cowboy Bebop-esque show I've ever seen in a fucking hot second. It's about these two robots, and they're trying to get back to their kingdom safely and shit, and they enlist the help of a wanted outlaw named Philly the Kid. And Philly the Kid is just this dipshit, asshole type character who's just a drunk, and he just fucks around and like bumbles his way through situations. He's not particularly talented. He just manages to get through situations because he's lucky. And the other meme of his character is he's fucking immortal. So he'll die. He dies every episode, and then he comes back.
Oh my god.
Like in the first episode, he just gets shot with a shotgun, and then he just wakes up, and he's like, what the fuck?
How long is it?
12, I think 12 episodes? It might be 13.
That sounds amazing. I really need to give that a chance.
But it has so much style in it. Like it has so much, it has like that Cowboy Bebop style type shit where it just has a style to it, and it is, every episode I've watched so far, I'm like 6 episodes in, has been fantastic. But if you have not watched Cannon Busters, absolutely do. I don't know how popular the show was, but I feel like it's not talked about. I've never heard this show talked about, but
yeah, I've never heard a person talk about it in my life. So
yeah, it's trapped on Netflix, but it is just a fantastic anime with this small group, and they're bumbling around from town to town, and they have this dude who's just a shitheel. Like he's just a piece of shit. he constantly is getting fucked over and like killed and stuff, but it's kind of justified because he is a legitimate scumbag. Like in the second episode, he hits on a girl the moment he's left alone, and he tries to like touch her without permission and shit, and he's immediately, the moment he spots a woman trying to fuck her, and then he immediately dies like a minute later. Because
that's kind of great.
He's just a shithead, and so they just keep killing him. And every time he dies, he also gets like a number tattooed on his body and shit. It looks really cool. But it's really interesting. I've gotten 6 episodes in. I'm excited to watch more, but absolutely, if you haven't watched it, give it a try. I think you'll really enjoy it. If you like Gurren Lagann or Cowboy Bebop, you will probably like it, or like Space Dandy or shit like that. Like it's a comedy, but it's also very, very good. Dandy. So, yeah, okay, with that, my weekend is done. My week is done.
Actually, I wanted to bring up one more show since we're on the...
Oh, boy.
We're on the Netflix anime show section here.
Oh, no, what are
you know I'm gonna bring up Goku Girls.
Oh, shit! Yeah, Goku Idol Girls, or whatever it is. What's that called?
It's Goku Girls something. I don't remember exactly what it's called. That show, though. So good.
So Goku Idols or something. I want to look that up.
It's something like that. But that show has one of the funniest dubs that I've ever seen.
That show's very, very good. Yeah, it's just a dub about Yakuza members who get turned into what was it? They get turned into models. What the fuck?
They get turned into idol girls.
I don't know why I was forgetting that. I think it was called Goku Idol Girls. But yeah, they get turned into idol girls from the Yakuza after failing their boss. And that's the whole show, but the English dub of it is just fantastic.
It's so really good. It's so
really
good.
I really, really enjoy it. There's not much to say about that one. Like, it's literally just a straight comedy show, but it is fantastic. Some of that shit in there.
Just check it out.
Yeah.
You gotta see it before you die.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that really show is absolutely fantastic. It's just a very, very funny comedy. I enjoyed it a lot. It never plays up the them having transition thing too much, because they're not really identifying female, but everybody really, really wants to fuck them.
And they're just like, stop, please. I'm gonna beat the shit out of you the whole time.
They just want to not. And then other than that, my current things to look forward to right now would be probably the most important one would be Zombieland Saga Season 2. I very much
Zombieland and Love is War are both getting Season 2s.
Those are heavy up there on the watch list, my guy.
I am so happy, especially Zombieland. And since Zombieland did so good, I really hope that they like actually make the dancing scenes good.
Yeah, I hope it has a budget this time. But I really enjoyed the first one, so I'm excited for those two. I think those are kind of my things to watch for. I can't particularly think of any. Is there any like upcoming games even? We already got Death Stranding and everything,
Not
so like
that I can think of.
Yeah, I think at the moment that should be it for my upcoming watches then. Like everything that I've been sort of looking forward to has come out. I just need to get around to it at the moment.
Death Stranding I'll get to eventually, I know.
Yeah, Death Stranding I need
to
get
that's a time thing.
Yeah, once I finish Outer Worlds I might.
That game's going to be probably really long.
Also, we didn't even mention in both of our weekends, but we've lost way too much fucking goddamn time to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Pretty good. I enjoy it,
Modern Warfare is so good.
Even if it's just 725 heaven. I still enjoy it.
They've nerfed it twice. Come on.
Still not good enough.
It's not even that bad anymore.
But yeah, that one's good. It doesn't really need a plug. It's Call of Duty, but yeah, that game was better than I expected. But with that...
Oh, wait.
With that, question time.
We've got the questions.
And I'll, Okay, so
we've got some good ones.
Every time we record this podcast, once it opens up, we are going to take questions from the audience, and we will answer those. And if you have a question for us, please go ahead and send that in. Let me find the actual email for it. They're very good questions. All right. So the two places to reach us at would be our Twitter, which you can give a follow if you want to follow our feed. We'll retweet a lot of really trashy memes from Decooters and the like. So our Twitter is at DTPH Podcast. And that should lead you right to our Twitter, and you can just sort of add us there and ask us questions if you have any. Or, barring that, you could also just send an email to desutimepowerhour@gmail.com. And we will sift through those. Just leave something in the subject line so we know it's from you. Give us a clever little sign-off, something like that. But please send in your anime or just life advice, general questions that we could answer here on the show. But for now, we have a small list of these ones here, and I'm just gonna pick one. We'll both just pick two of these bad boys. So all right. I'll start here by the first question, which Bryce has wrote up here, and this is why did Chica describe her dog's penis during an episode of Love is War? Now, Bryce, that's a very good question. One I've been asking myself since that episode happened.
I was really freaked out by it. I'm going to be honest.
For those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a moment in an episode of Love is War where people are talking about, I believe they are talking about dicks or something similar to that, or like red rockets or something.
They're absolutely talking about dicks.
Yeah, and she starts talking about how her dog's dick looks. And it's... She describes it as if she's seen it multiple times, and I kept expecting Chica to be like, oh, I'm not talking about my dog's dick, silly, but she's literally just like, is it not normal to stare at dog dicks? Like, what?
Yeah. I
really didn't like that. Because Chica's character is innocent up till then, and then she's like, yeah, I just stare at dog dicks.
It never came up again. It never came up again, and that was hanging over my head for the rest of the show.
It was...
Like, I couldn't get over it.
It polluted my mind to think of the fact that Chica just, in her free time, stares at her dog's dick.
The Chica family is apparently full of freaks, and we just didn't realize it.
They're absolutely fucking bizarre if that's just a normal... Like, they don't have a TV, she just stares at her dog's dick.
That's just...
We saw her sisters once. They all looked exactly like her.
They look exactly like her, except... No, they just look exactly like her, except taller.
They look like they're taller, and like they're not as happy as her. They're not as like aloof as her. They have enormous breasts, and they all have pink hair, and they all look the same. They look the same. They're just less like enthusiastic about everything. But she's over here like super, super happy about everything all the time.
They've had to deal with being adults, so they're no longer happy.
They no longer know the beauty of the Chica dance. By the way, in season 2, they better bring back that dance permanently. God damn it!
They better remaster it and make it even better.
All right.
So I know they're gonna add a dance with her,
and
it's probably gonna be like insane.
Oh God, I hope.
So
I can hope. Okay.
All right.
Pick a question. Well, ask a question, my man.
Well, I was thinking about this one a lot while you were gone. I want to know what your favorite album of 2019 is, and what your favorite album of all time is, just in general.
Not even anime related,
music-wise.
But hey,
music-wise.
Hey, I think this is a great question because it gives me a chance to plug my favorite band that currently exists right now, and that is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
I had a feeling you were gonna say.
Yes. Both of King Gizzard's albums that have released this year have been absolutely amazing. I believe they both released this year, so Infest the Rat's Nest.
Yes.
And
yes, they're both 2019.
Fishing for Fishies. I love them both. I would have to say Fishing for Fishies is personally my favorite over Infest the Rat's Nest. But I still really, really like Infest the Rat's Nest a whole lot. I think those are...
I was actually listening to Infest the Rat's Nest while you were gone. And like I was listening to it. I listened to it before, but there was one song. I think it was like Superbug or something like that.
Superbug sounds right.
Superbug. That like when I was listening to that, it sounded like I was listening to like something in between like Rob Zombie and like Corrosion of Conformity or something.
Yes.
Like it really gave me that vibe, and that shit was always in like video games, and that was always on like the radio and shit when I was younger. So when I heard that, it kind of took me back a little bit.
That's kind of the style they went for with that whole album, and that whole album is absolutely fantastic. I've tried to get Bryce and everyone else in our sort of group into King Gizzard for a while now, but I love them. They're a band that every album they release is the most different shit. The 2 albums they released this year are a psychedelic bluegrass synthesizer album and a hard sort of almost...
It's like a garage metal almost.
Like a hard garage metal sort of album as well that's just called Infest the Rat's Nest, which is another really, really, really good one. I'd say it's not my... It's
my favorite.
Not my favorite.
My favorite's still probably... My favorite's still probably Nonagon Infinity.
Nonagon Infinity is fantastic, and it won the Metal Award.
Yep.
Nonagon is fantastic. I still think Fishing for Fishies is one of my favorites. Not my favorite. Gumboot Soup is also fantastic, but that would be mine of this year. In terms of album of all time, that one is a bit harder. That one's really, really hard for me. I would have to say, in terms of what I think the best album of all time is, I will just do the one that resonates me. The one that has made me the most emotional and resonates with me probably the most is going to be Black Star. I've mentioned it before.
You really guess that's really your favorite?
Yes.
Oh,
that is, it's maybe not the most musically complex and stuff like that, but Black Star has resonated with me on a deeper level than I think any other album ever has, to the point where even in modern day, I cannot listen to some of those songs on that album without getting emotional, because David Bowie is a huge part of like why I felt okay being myself, and like what inspired me to sort of even get into music with my synth stuff that I do and stuff like that. So that album is, I think, probably the best use of like just sort of covering the topic and like the event, like sort of like inevitable march of time and just accepting one's own death. So I really, really, really like Black Star. I think just on a personal level, even though I know it's not the most complex album that I like and stuff like that.
It was definitely something special for sure.
There's really nothing that's like it in terms of how like the theme is.
When I listened to that when it first came out, like even I got really emotional. Like it was really something else.
Yeah,
and I can respect that a lot.
In terms of like complexity, it's not the most, but I would say emotionally, that's probably the one I'd put at the top of like that one. That album probably means the most. To
it's
me
a little. It feels so real.
Yeah, in a way, it feels very down to earth. I'd say that's probably one of my most favorite. I'd place that on the top just out of like respect and how much it personally means to me as an album. But Bryce, I am excited to hear about yours because I don't even know who released that album this year that you listened to.
I got 2. Actually, I need to check one of them to make sure, but one of them you should already know. It's the new Dream Theater album.
That was this year?
That was definitely 2019. Huh. Distance Over Time. Seeing that album live, I gotta say, that was an adventure.
I really, from what I've listened to that album, I also very much enjoyed it. Like that one was very good. I listened to it a few times, like once or twice. I haven't listened to it a ton yet.
There's this one wasn't from this year, but it was like right around Christmas of last year, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here too. Coed and Cambria's I think it was Unheavenly Creatures.
I'm not even sure what that band is, bud.
I'll send you some links for it later, but it's kind of like Dream Theater, okay, but a bit more like
I've never even heard you.
The songs, Michael knows I like it, but I don't think Michael's ever listened to it before. I'll send you some of it later. It's pretty interesting. It's a lot like Dream Theater, but like the songs aren't quite as long.
Fair enough.
And I think it puts a bit more of an emphasis on like the singer's voice than the band.
Which that can always be pretty good. That reminds me. Who was it I sent you? Drug Dealer. You listened to Drug Dealer, right? Or was it Michael that I got listening?
Drug Dealer is great. He was actually here right after you showed. He was at First Avenue.
His
he was there like right after you showed
that one would have to be one of my high points as well. I really like the new Honey album. I can't believe that dropped this year too, because I remember the last one he released was like 2016 or something. I was just like, Drug Dealer, this dude only released one album and he never released another one. And then I just looked one day and there was a new one and I'm like, holy fuck!
So those two I really liked, but I think the one I liked the most this year was have I ever had you listen to Avantasia before?
I don't think you have.
It's like a rock opera kind of.
All right, I can dig that.
It's really good. But they released an album this year called Moonglow, and there's this song on it that I've been fucking bopping to for all of 2019, and it's the first track on the album. It's called Ghost in the Moon, and it's a fucking masterpiece. It's like 10 minutes of just guitar-gasm, vocal masterpiece. It's delicious. I love it. And it also was a huge inspiration for me while I've been writing D&D recently. It resonates with me,
Yeah, that can be good.
And I highly recommend you check it out. There's also there's a lot of musicians on there that are like, they're featured on a couple of songs. And they have Jeff Tate from Queensryche, their original singer. His voice really, isn't the best anymore. But he's on like half the album.
Yeah.
And their live performances, they do that shit that like Rush and Dream Theater do, where their concerts are like 3 hours long.
Fair enough.
He's one of those guys. And yeah, that's been a personal favorite for me too.
What would you say your favorite of all time would be then, bud? You're gonna toss a Supertramp in there?
Ooh. I won't lie. I think I'm torn between probably Jesus, this is hard. Breakfast in America is really good. Like that's got to be up there. But I would probably tie that with Black Clouds and Silver Linings from Dream Theater.
Fair enough.
It's like, how many songs? I think it's like 5 or 6 songs.
Those are both also dramatically different sounds.
Yeah. I think Dream Theater's a lot like it's more of an acquired taste. I feel like a lot more people can listen to Supertramp and get on board with it.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm feeling like down, I feel like Supertramp is always there for me,
That's fair.
Like
most of the songs are always very
good times and bad times, I always find myself listening to Supertramp.
The one I picked was just purely based off emotions, so if that's gonna be yours, like that's totally valid.
Emotionally, I think Black Clouds sparks a lot of stuff for me, especially like there's a song off Black Clouds called The Best of Times, and that's like the drummer Mike Pottenroy, that's a song about his dad dying.
Oh shit.
He wrote that song, and it's a sad song to listen to. Like it's a really emotional song.
Yeah.
And that was also one of the last songs he wrote in the band, because that was the last album he played on. After that, he left the band, and he just kind of does like I think he's in a band called Winery Dogs now. No. Just kind of like a little one-off project. They played at First Ave like not too long ago, but
yeah, well, fair enough. Also,
yeah,
I think we just went off for music for 15-20 minutes. This isn't even a music podcast.
Hey! I love our music, man.
Music is important. We're both huge fan of music. I make music. Bryce is a big fan of music. So I would say music is definitely up there for our interests, but
we got to get back into.
We don't need to get
into
back
what the people came
into
for.
what the people came for. But I do have to ask, because this is spurred on a question. I know it's not here, but I'm gonna ask it. This will be my question for my number 2 here, but what do you think the best anime opening and ending currently are for your picks?
Oh fuck. Like as a pair or like
no pair separately. I mean, I'm gonna have to do Freakin' You for my ending because I really like that ending. I really like that ending bit of Freakin' You. It's very good. Every time I close my eyes,
I'm gonna say
it so horny.
I love that. I love that so much. It's so good.
So good.
When they did away with that, I was
so
sad.
perfect. But I think my intro, I mean, I'm gonna have to say probably either Bebops or Shampaloos because I really like both a lot.
I really liked. I know people are gonna give me a lot of flack for this, but I really liked Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town.
Yes,
as my intro.
Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town is very, very good.
I still think that's my favorite JoJo opening. To be honest with you,
that and Golden Wind and that are very, very tied for me. Great Days I also really like. I really like Great Days.
I like Chase as a meme, but like it's musically it's not really a good song. It's a good meme.
My opening, well, if we're doing memes, my favorite opening is the Berserk 90s opening.
Tell me
what you want. Yeah, I fucking love that so much.
I don't even like that as a meme. I like that.
I do not too. Like that's how it starts. You just go, oh, this is a meme. It's shitty, and now it's just like, no, it's hype as fuck. It's hype as goddamn
Dude,
hell.
Tell me. Like the more you listen to it, the more fitting you start to realize it is.
It grows so much on you, but
like at first I was like, oh god, this is like nails on chalkboard. I hate this. And then like you kept memeing it. You kept memeing it, and then I like started listening to it. And I was like, this actually kind of smacks.
It smacks, and you know it.
Oh, it absolutely
all
smacks.
The JoJo openings are on a fucking league of their own, to be honest. Like they've all been bomb so far.
I'm trying to think
maybe
which one I
Trader's
like
Requiem,
the least.
Which I don't particularly like Trader's Requiem at all that much. I think it's okay. It just doesn't feel very JoJo, considering it's going up against shit like Fighting Gold and Great Days and Sonochiro Sarome. Like it's hard.
I know this is an unpopular opinion, but I don't really like Bloody Stream that much.
Really?
I like it, but like it's close to the bottom.
In
for
retrospect, yeah, it might be just because there's been some that are so much better, and there's a lot in Part 4 that are fantastic, and I don't really even like Part 4. It's my least favorite JoJo part.
I liked Part 4 a lot more than I probably should have.
A lot of people like it.
But I
just don't like it because the front half of it is just fucking around staying meme shit, and like I get that that's funny, but like also I the moment Kira comes into that show, it becomes good. Up until Kira steps into that show, it is just stand bullshit.
I mean, the entire first half of Stardust Crusaders was also just a giant stand meme, and you know.
Oh, I know. Stardust Crusaders is my second least liked season because one, it's long as fuck, and like the fights drag on so long, and most of them are absolute bullshit.
I just think Stardust Crusaders would have been a lot better if it was like condensed into half.
It should have been condensed, and there should have been more trees being grown in it, much like in Part 5 with the Giorno.
As much as I love, oh, that's a baseball. You know, it definitely felt long. Which is probably the reason why people like Michael never finished it.
There's a lot of people, I'm sure, that didn't finish it because it was a very, 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 very long.
Honestly, like all you really needed to watch was like.
It really did feel like that. That was the first time he had done something super long term. So that one lasted a lot longer than any of the others outside of JoJo Line.
Isn't JoJo Line like insanely long?
It's also long because I believe there's a lot of Berserk hiatuses in it. Not hiatuses, but breaks.
Would surprise me, I guess. Is he like getting to the point where he's gonna like finish that series?
He's like 50, 60. Even if he doesn't, he might do what
I'm just talking like ending just like JoJo. Because I know he like worked on that other.
If
game.
he's ending it, there will be one more part in after JoJo Lion. Because
I see.
JoJo works in threes. There's 3 different arcs. So there's like the vampire arc, the stone mask arc, stand arrow arc, and then there's the holy corpse arc.
The newest one.
Holy corpse.
The holy corpse.
Steel Ball Run and JoJo Lion both cover the holy corpse. There's like a new MacGuffin in all of them.
I see.
And since part 4, it's been the stand arrow. But other than that, all right. Yeah, that doesn't.
Something, we've been seeing this on Twitter all the time. Coffee's been talking about it. It's been all over every chat everywhere. We gotta talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Are you ready for my hot take?
Yes.
All
I
right.
want to hear what you have to say about this.
Are you ready?
Because I don't think I've actually listened to you talk about this.
Talk about my hot take with Pokemon Sword and Shield. It looks like a very fun, wholesome game that looks like it's a whole lot of fun for people who enjoy Pokemon. And I think people got a little bit heated on it because they're very upset at Game Freak, even though it's all on their publisher.
A little upset.
Yeah, they started sending death threats to the game developers, despite the fact that it was definitely probably the publisher that was forcing dates on them and stuff that they had to make. Personally, I think it looks fun. I think the Pokemon, the new ones, they look great. I know people are very upset that like half the fucking Pokédex got cut, but also like there's 1,000 of the little fucks, and that's like impossible to balance for.
There's so many Pokemon. There's so many.
It's impossible to balance for, and like I get Pokemon doesn't have balance. Like it's never really been about balance, but I would rather them just focus on doing a new like 150 on each like part if they're doing that. Now, personally, I don't know about you, but I don't particularly like even really play Pokemon that much. I play them very passively.
I haven't played it since I was in like middle school.
The last one I played
I
was
remember
X.
playing like I played Gold. I think I played Black. I think Black was the last one I played. No, I played Black 2. So I played Black 1 and Black 2, and then I don't think I played
Those
one
are the
after
only
that.
ones that have ever had a good story from what I've heard.
I remember those being really good, and then Heart Gold.
Here's
was
the
one
thing
I
that's
played on the
baffling.
original
Apparently,
DS.
Black 1 and 2 also restricted like the Pokédex number by a lot, and people were good with that in retrospect. Like everybody loves those games now in retrospect. So I'm just like, I don't understand why people are getting so pissy.
I don't remember hearing a damn thing about it back in that day. But there was a different region too, as the Unova region. So
This one is apparently a different region too, as far as I.
I don't know, man. Like people get their panties in a knot about that shit way too much. Like it's fine.
There's been a
Pokemon.
lot of situations recently with game developers where something will be coming out and it looks undercooked, and people will yell at it, and they'll start sending death threats to like the game developers and stuff. And like, come on, man.
It's the fucking publisher.
It's always the
90% of the time.
publisher. It's always them rushing dates. Like I'm sure Game Freak, whatever, they didn't want to cut things out. It also doesn't help that they were like, they didn't just say, hey, we're starting from scratch. We want to just redo things and get it down to the bare essentials. Like that's also kind of where it's at. And like I get that, but like also, I don't know. I don't personally have a horse in this race. I know there's other games I've cared about where like I've watched that shit happen, where like the developers will just get attacked for like wanting to improve a game and make sure that it's not just breaking on launch. And I will say that I'm never upset to see a game delayed. I hope more games get delayed because that means we'll get more bug fixes, because there has been a plague of games since like 2016 where they kept releasing fucking unfinished, and you could tell they were unfinished. Final Fantasy 15 released in a state where like half the world was empty, and like that game is still unfinished. I don't consider Final Fantasy 15 finished because it really doesn't feel like it. And I know you have no horse in that race, but personally I do, because I play the Final Fantasy games, and that game felt empty as fuck. It felt like Metal Gear Solid 5 empty, where like the open world is just nothing. There's nothing there.
That's why I was kind of happy when I heard that Last of Us 2 was getting delayed. and I was happy to hear that Doom Eternal was getting delayed.
I'm always very happy to see any of those things delayed, just because it means they'll get more polish on them, and they'll release better, and they'll make a better impression, and like, hell yeah.
You want to talk about games people like bitch about a lot? Like Doom. Let's talk about Doom.
Yeah, people bitching about
Doom fans? So, the Doom... Someone on, like, the Doom Twitter posted some shit. And it was like, hey, we're adding, like... It was, like, ice grenades or some, like, movement mechanics on it. And people were just screaming at the top of their lungs about it.
Christ. I completely missed that. But that sucks. I mean... I don't know. People get really, really uppity about games and stuff. I've gotten to the point where, like, my life is really busy with work and shit. So it's just, like, I play games to have fun. I watch anime to have fun. And I kind of want that to be, I guess, the theme of this podcast, this channel, is less looking at, like, the negatives of things and more being, like...
Just kind of see everything in a positive light.
Seeing what we can in a positive light, talking about the stuff we actually enjoy and less so about the stuff that's kind of... a little bit less enjoyable. I mean, we'll talk about it, but it's also like there's so much like negative podcasts and content about like this or this show sucks or this game sucks and it's terrible that I'm like it gets really draining to constantly hear how terrible everything is. And I'm over here like I find good shows like Cannon Buster and stuff like that, and like I enjoy talking about them.
Like this is the shit people should be talking about. Like
you find like the nice wholesome shows like Mob Psycho or stuff like Cannon Buster that's just fun and a nice little adventure to sit through and like have fun with. And like I need more of that in my life and less focusing on like, are all of my Pokemans gonna get in my Pokemon game and shit like that.
Yeah, like
or if Doom's gonna have its mechanics change. Like I have so much goddamn games in my backlog, dude. Holy fuck. Like, this month alone has given me, like, 3 with fucking Death Stranding to get through, and then I have the Jedi game to get through now, and, like, fuck.
We'll get to it eventually, and we'll have a nice place to talk about it.
Well, we'll get to that eventually. I am excited for that new Doom game. I still need to get to Wolfenstein 2, by the way, speaking of...
I have not played any of the new Wolfenstein
Oh, they're fantastic. Games. I don't know about the second one, but I know that Old Blood...
People were bitching a lot about Old Blood. I remember hearing about that.
Was it Old Blood?
People hated that game.
Colossus.
Yeah, people hated that.
I think you might be thinking of New Colossus. Do you mean the recent spin-off? They've released a recent one. They released a recent one that was Young Bloods.
Keep up on it too much.
Was it the co-op one?
Yeah, that might have been
it. It was the co-op one,
yeah,
yes.
I think it was
because
that
they released a really, really bad co-op game.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear about that shit occasionally.
I didn't play it. It never was very interesting to me. But it's a shame if it's not good, because that series up to that point was, as far as I can tell, very good. I never played New Colossus. I know that it has a lot more stealth, and that also tripped people up. But regardless... yeah, I want to try and at least keep things in a positive light. I'm not going to be like some anime people and just talk about Sword Art Online in 2019 and how terrible it is, even to this day, because there's people that do that.
It's funny because a lot of people have that I know personally have been talking about how like the new Sword Art Online season was actually okay.
They might have finally gotten to a point where they're okay. I literally have no interest in isekai genre things at all.
I don't want to watch 4 seasons of a show to get to.
I don't like isekais, so I will probably never watch it. But
isekai you need to watch though is Konosuba, the isekai that makes fun of other isekais.
Oh my god,
that show is a fucking
You've told
dream
me about
for
this.
me.
At some point, I will.
I've told you about it so many
Bryce,
times, and I really want you to see it. It's so funny. It's a good comedy show. You'll love it. I know you'll like it.
He does this every time.
Come on! It's good. You'll like it.
No.
They just released a movie for it too.
That's nice. Yeah, no, I do want to try it on. But Bryce, my backlog is fucked. You know this. I know this.
Sometimes you just gotta eeny meeny miny mo.
That's what I do.
And just
Cannon Buster was that for me this week, so I'm gonna see if I can get through that one pretty soon. I'm gonna try and finish that off by the end of the week.
The more you talk about Cannon Buster, the more I want to watch it.
Hell yeah, watch it after this podcast. But before you can watch Cannon Buster, Bryce, there's one thing we have to do to end this episode.
Oh yes.
Now we didn't have a spot for an area to do advertisements, but first off, if anybody wants to advertise for us, please contact that email. Once again, that's Desu Time Power Hour at gmail.com. We will absolutely love your advertisements. They can be personal advertisements. Maybe you're looking for a bygone lover in your area. You can give us a little shout out here. We'll give you a heads up here on the podcast. Maybe you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation like Denny's. Do you think Denny's makes billions or just millions?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, okay.
There's no way Denny's makes
multi-million-dollar company like Denny's. You can slide us some Slamburger coupons, and we'll plug your shit. We'll be shills for you if you want, but just give us a nice look on that. But for now, before we sign off, we have to end this episode with the last bit here. And since this is the concept of the show, me and Bryce are going to talk about ways we can possibly grow our clout in the anime community, to grow this podcast just a bit more. So we need some hot ideas about how we can grow as a brand. So Bryce, you had a lot of time while I was getting my pizza, so let me hear your pitch.
Okay. So, what's a show that everyone will always know? Let me start with that.
Show anyone? That could be so many.
Well, you know that I'm gonna say Evangelion.
Yeah, you're gonna say
friend.
the good Evangelion, that very, very profitable show
everyone
with lots of marketable.
Everyone, yes, everyone knows Evangelion, whether they've watched it or not. They've heard
it's
the
back
name.
in the public eye too.
Now, also, we know that every girl in Evangelion is the worst creature ever.
You would be. That's gonna get a lot of people pissed off on you on this podcast. Let me preface this by saying Ray is not that bad. Let me just say I don't want the Evangelion fan hate. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, Asuka fan. Actually, wait, no, stay Asuka fans.
Okay.
They're profitable.
But yes, and that's what I'm trying to segue into is we need to post Asuka memes.
Okay.
If we post Asuka memes, people will have to subscribe.
Okay, so when you say post Asuka memes, and your idea of a meme here, is it just an image with a Asuka saying like it's Tuesday, or as I like to say, Wednesday?
Yes,
but then in like the corner,
as long as it has Asuka on
like
it.
an iFunny logo in the corner that just says subscribe to Bryce and Gabe's Bizarre Adventure on YouTube.com.
This post was made by Asuka Gabe.
This post,
and as long as we have that on the channel,
put that on the channel banner,
we can't possibly fail. We can't possibly
fail. We just take all these iFunny memes and we gotta crop them really badly, like somebody would on iFunny, and then we just have to put our logo in the corner.
You can still see the top of the. You can still see like the black line on the bottom. You can see the top of the smiley face.
Yeah, we still need to do that. So we need to first crop it into iFunny, and then we need to crop it again with our logo on top of that.
And we also need to screenshot it and crop it multiple times so the resolution goes down a lot.
It's gotta be like pixels.
Like you can, like you have to barely be able to read it, but you have to know
squint,
it's
Asuka.
So
you have to put in the work to read it. So you have to like squint. So it makes people that would normally like, because normally on Twitter you scroll by and you don't notice the memes. So you just scroll by and you're like, haha, that's a funny anime meme. But you see the one that's like pixelated to hell, and you're just like, wait, what does that say? So you have to take the time to investigate it, like Sherlock Holmes, and then you find out that the watermark leads you to a YouTube channel, and it's our YouTube channel.
And then they're just like, well, I'm here. I might as well see what they have to offer.
I might as well tune into this podcast and see what they have to offer.
Even if they don't listen to the whole thing, you know, they can just kind of skip through it.
There's going to be people who absolutely did not make it to the end, and that's going to be the saddest part, is there's not going to be people that hear our pitches. And these pitches are just fantastic. I really like the Asuka.
They're not going to hear the part about the Asuka.
They're not going to hear about the Asuka sad part. And so we now I'm going to have to Photoshop an Asuka meme and post it to our Twitter. God damn it. It's the only way to promote ourselves.
Yes.
All right. That's a really good one.
Now what's your pitch?
All right.
I'm curious myself.
As somebody who went to Papa John's, I decided on the drive back it had to be something involving the Papa, you know? The new Papa, not the old
Oh my
Papa,
God.
not the racist Papa, the new Papa that has been elected like the Pope into the position of the Papa John. We need to get in contact with him. We need to contact his people. So we'll need to get in touch with his lawyers or whoever is in charge of the Papa brand, and then we need to do a sort of cross promotion. You know how Girls and Pans are sort of cross promoted with World of Tanks, right? So we
Yes.
need to do something like that. But we just it's like imagine if you got a pizza from Papa John's, a piping hot pizza, and on the box was our faces, and it was just like in like the corner. I'm not saying they'd give us main space, but like in a corner you see like our faces, and it's just like tune in to Desu
pizza-
Time Power Hour
this-
while you eat this za, man. And you get
Oh
the
my
pizza,
God. I love it.
and we'll have like a little anime face there too. It'll be right there, and we'll just do advertisement sort of cross promotion with Papa John's Pizzeria, and we'll deck our channel out to look like Papa John's, and we'll sort of sport the gear. And I think that would kind of I think that'd be good for both of us, especially because we would get the advertising money, and that's the thing I want. I want that advertise. I want the Papa's
we can
money.
also have like a discount code on
What-
like our
All right,
about,
what would our discount code?
so they
be?
can get like a 10% off, you know, like they do with like the G Fuel shit. Get like a 10% off your
Bryce,
next
I
order.
desperately want to know what
With-
you would make the code be. What do you think our coupon code would be?
Oh fuck. Oh god. That's hard. Oh jeez. Oh jeez.
Do you think we could swing discount code weeb?
Yes.
Do you think we would be able
I like
to
to think we'd be
procure
able
the
to.
discount code weeb and just be like,
Yes.
use the discount code weeb for 10% off on any Papa John's large one-topping pizza?
Yes. I really hope
That would
so.
be my dream, goddammit.
Oh
That'd
my
be
god.
my
I love it.
dream. Well,
This episode ended with a slam dunk. I'm
I
not
think
gonna
I
lie.
like the Asuka meme much more. I'm all about that Asuka meme. In fact, I have to go into Photoshop right after this to do that. But for now, I guess this would be the end, my friends. It is time to say goodbye. Bryce, do you have anything to say to the kind listeners before we head off for the night into the anime abyss?
You know, I'm just glad that we could start this, man. It's been a fun talk. It's fun to make. You know, getting to talk about all this cool weeb stuff. You know, I love it.
Well,
a good time.
I think we're gonna go far, and I think, Bryce, we will rise to power with God and anime at our side.
I love it.
All right. See you in like 2 weeks. I think it is bi-weekly. Anyway, adios, amigos.
I know who I am. The moonlight lake told me this is who you are. My vision's so long, my illusion of the light. That is me. I wonder what that will do. That is bullshit blazing. Still my heart is blazing. If the word kill me, I don't need a new word.